Hi everyone. In this video, our group is looking at community issue that affects a lot of us directly, the cost of living crisis and how it impacts students. We chose this because it's something we feel and see every day. Whether it's rising rent, food prices, transport costs, or energy bills, students are being squeezed harder than ever. At UWS and across the UK, students are reporting real financial pressures. A recent NUS survey found that 1 in 3 students are unable to afford food and heating. Many students now rely on food banks, and the usage of campus support services has increased massively. It's also become normal for students to work 2 or even 3 part time jobs just to stay afloat, and that obviously affects study time and well-beings and grades. So this is not just a money problem, it's community well-being problem. When students can't afford basic costs of living, it impacts their mental health, motivation, class attendance, and even their ability to continue their studies. And although there are some support systems in place, like hardship fund or rent freezes, they are often not enough and not actually tackle the deeper issues causing the crises. For example, international students can't really get the hardship funds. That's why we think this issue needs a leadership approach, not just financial sticking plasters. In this video, we are going to explore what's done already, what's working well, and what kind of leadership could help create more meaningful and longer term solution for the students. So now I'm going to pass on to my buddy Sogat, and he's going to explain you guys further. Thank you so much.
So, I'm going to pick up from there and talk about what leadership is already happening around this issue and why it's falling short. At the moment, universities, student unions, local councils, and even the Scottish government all offer different kinds of support. Things like one off hardship, payments, rent caps, cheaper bus fares, or food bank partnerships. Now, these things sound helpful and they are in the short term, but they are mostly what leadership theory calls technical fixes. They deal with the symptoms, not the root causes. But for example, giving a one off payments help for a month, but it doesn't change the fact that rent and food prices keep going up. Another issue is that everyone is working separately. The university the university does its thing. The Scottish government does its thing. The council runs its own programs, but there isn't a one join up plan. That means students often don't know what support is available or how to assess it. If we apply leadership theory, we can also say that the current response is very reactive and transactional. It's basically says here is a payment, here is a discount, and here is a leaflet. There is not much long term vision. Listening to students or collaboration between the organizations that should be supporting us. So, overall, the leadership isn't completely absent, but it's limited, short term, and it doesn't tackle the deeper problem. In the next section, we will introduce adaptive leadership, which we think fits the issue much better.
So based on adaptive leadership here, the kind of solution our group thinks could actually make a real difference. First, we need a joint leadership group made up of the university, the SU, local charities, mental health support team, and student representative. Instead of everyone working separately, this group will coordinate support and share data so students do not slip through the cracks. Secondly, we recommend using student voice panel where students regularly share what pressure they are facing. This fits with adaptive leadership because solutions are co-created, not imposed from the top. For the third one, we think the university should adopt element of servant leadership, which is all about the meeting the needs of the community. That means prioritizing well-being, offering flexible deadline for student working long hours, and expanding low-cost food option or meal programs. Finally, the leadership group should explore long-term solutions like partnership with housing provider for cheaper rent, bulk buying food scheme, or transportation discount negotiated with local council. These are these aren't quick fixes, but they will make student life more stable over time. So the idea is a leadership model that is collaborate, student centered, and future focused, not just recreating to crisis, but actually changing the system to make student life more affordable. Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm going to explain why this issue is what Heifetz call an adaptive challenge and why adaptive leadership is the theory that makes the most sense here. Adaptive challenges are problems that can't be solved with simple technical solutions. They are complex, they involve lots of people, they require changes in behavior, values, and relationship. And honestly, the cost of living crisis for students fits that perfectly. It's not something one person or one organization can fix with a quick action. It involves housing markets, food supply, transport costs, mental health, and the whole student support system. At the moment, we mainly see technical fixes like one-off payments, but adaptive leadership says leaders need to bring people together, listen deeply, and mobilize communities to tackle the real underlying issues. A key part of adaptive leadership is something called getting on balcony, which means stepping back to see the bigger picture. For example, instead of only asking how do we keep student emergency money, leaders should be asking why are students depending on the emergency money in the first place, or what system changes are needed. Adaptive leadership also encourages leaders to distribute responsibility instead of trying to do everything themselves. And that's important here because student, universities, union, council, charities all have a role. So overall, adaptive leadership fits because this issue is messy, emotional, and affects people's lives. It needs leaders who can listen, learn, experiment, and collaborate, not just hand out short-term solutions.
To wrap things up, I want to explain what differences these leadership changes could actually make for students and for the wider community. If we apply adaptive servant and distributed leadership, we get a system where students feel heard, supported, and taken seriously. Instead of relying on crisis payments, students will have more stable and predictable support, whether that's affordable food, transport, or accommodation that reduces stress, improve well-being, and help people focus on their studies. Another big impact is community building. When universities, unions, and councils collaborate, it creates a network of support rather than isolated services. It also reduces duplication and confusion because students get clear, more consistency guidance on what help is available. Long term, better leadership on this issue could improve student retention, academic performance, and mental health outcomes. And that benefits the whole community because students who feel supported are more likely to succeed and contribute positively. So overall, our message is that the cost of living crisis is not just a financial problem, it's a leadership problem. Technical fixes aren't enough. We need leaders who listen, collaborate, and create long-term solutions. If we take a adaptive and student-centered approach, we can make a real difference to student well-being and opportunity.
Thank you, Samyak. So, to conclude things, cost of living is a systematic leadership challenge, not just a financial one. Technical fixes cannot solve deep structural issues. Adaptive servant distribute relationship models offer sustainable options and solutions. A student centered leadership approach creates long term benefits for well being, academic success, retention, wider community strength. Effective leadership, lasting positive change for students. So that sums us up. Thank you so much for tuning in. And those were the changes and impacts of rising cost of living on students. And thank you.